Have you ever had an experience with a movie, a song, or even a video game that changed the way you looked at media? An experience that moves you to think that art can transcend the sum of its parts to become something timeless? What's up, dudes and dudettes? For today's Nostalgia Fix, I want to share what I think is the best PC game of all time. And yes, I realize that anytime someone makes a video like this, emotions run high, comment sections turn radioactive, crowbars fly. But at the same time, these videos are really fun to make. And it's also nice to find like-minded individuals who actually do agree with whatever your pick is for the all-time greatest. So if you couldn't already tell from the footage, my choice for the best PC game of all time is the original Half-Life. But instead of just leaving it at that, what makes videos like these interesting is explaining the thought process leading up to that decision. Also, yes, I realize that Black Mesa is out there and it's amazing, and we will get to that remake of Half-Life in this video, but for now, just know that I slightly prefer the original Half-Life over Black Mesa. Also, before I forget, this is a family-friendly channel, so I won't show any humans getting hurt, but aliens are open season. So if green blood still offends you, feel free to move on.
Oh, what's that stench?
As with videos like these, there are some ground rules, so let's go over these pretty quickly. Rule number 1, my choice had to be released on PC only, at least initially. When I think on my favorite games of all time, there's plenty to come to mind, but probably in my top 3 are Half-Life, Super Mario Galaxy 2, and Red Dead Redemption 2. Sometimes I flip between the first and second Red Dead, but moving on. RDR2 came out initially on consoles, as well as Mario Galaxy 2. I realize that Red Dead has been ported and Galaxy has been emulated on PCs, but I feel that misses the point of a video like this. Rule number 2, it had to have an incredible impact on not just the games industry, but especially on me, the gamer. In other words, it's a game experience that I've never really had before, and I judge other games based on its new watermark. Rule number 3, it has to be fun to play years from its initial release.
My God, what are you doing?
Come on, Gordon. You trying to get me into trouble?
For example, while a game like Myst had an earth-shattering impact on the PC games community and helped make the floppy disk obsolete, it also isn't that much fun to play from a modern point of view, in my opinion, but it is very nostalgic nonetheless. Rule number 4, this is similar to number 3, but the game has to be very replayable. It has an addictive quality to it, so it's not just a one-and-done kind of deal. Again, like Myst. As a gamer, you want to revisit its world and its mechanics. All of my favorite games I've replayed several times, such as this one, Command & Conquer, which would have made it near the top of my list if it wasn't for a terrible pathfinding and dumb as rocks artificial intelligence. Still, even to this day, it's very addictive. Lastly, rule number 5, it has to have a strong element of nostalgia building. What do I mean by that? The atmosphere, the music, the sound effects, the art direction, all add up to build strong nostalgia even only a couple of years after initial playthrough. This is a nostalgia channel after all, and I feel like that's a crucial element to a good game. If the game is really good at this, you will remember the moments in time you were playing that game, the hardware you were using to play the game, the people you played with, that kind of thing. In fact, after I wrap up my reasons why I like Half-Life so much, I'll play some footage at the end of this video of my friend and I reminiscing on what Half-Life means to us since we played it in tandem when it was released back in 1998. Okay, with those rules out of the way, let's get started. Half-Life was released on the PC only, at least to begin with. Check. Let's move on to impact. The change Half-Life had on me as a gamer is hard to put into words, so let's take a quick trip down memory lane. Imagine this. I was a PC gamer in the 90s who was starting to feel like I could predict what a game would be like based on its genre and screenshots. And only a few surprises aside, I'd know exactly what to expect. That was okay, but things in the industry were getting a little stale. By that point in time, there were dozens and dozens of Doom clones, point-and-click adventures, which, don't get me wrong, Curse of Monkey Island is one of my favorite PC games of all time, but what's holding that one back is some of the illogical puzzles, hilarious as they may be. Sometimes you get a game with a cool mechanic like bullet time and Max Payne, but that wasn't enough. Games were just kind of carbon copies back then, much like today, I suppose. But then came Half-Life. At the time, I was upgrading the sound card to my computer, and there was this new tech that came out called A3D, which promised a surround sound experience like none other. There was a helicopter demo that shipped with a sound card that convincingly played a helicopter sound flying 360 degrees around your head. Of course, I had to have some sweet Cambridge Soundworks speakers to make those sounds sing. What also shipped with a sound card was this lovely Half-Life Day 1 demo disc. My friend Adam was at my house when I booted everything up. We queued up Half-Life, cranked the speakers, and what happened next was gaming magic.
Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided for the security and convenience of the Black Mesa Research Facility personnel. The time is 8:47 a.m.
I still get goosebumps when I hear the moody ambience while riding the Black Mesa Transit. Going through the first part of this game was a perfect introduction to the compound, and it felt otherworldly. Peeking behind a curtain of a secret government experiment, it felt like we were getting away with something and firmly grasped our attention. I loved how this game starts. Normal, for lack of a better term. As you show up late for work and head to the break room, you can mess around with a microwave, maybe grab a soda. What, that's not how you get a soda out of a vending machine? Weird. Basically, this introduction to a game is just so relatable to so many workplaces, and it gives you a calming, false sense of security before all resonance cascade breaks loose.
Order! Get away from the shutting down! It's not shutting down! It's not!
And this is the part I really want to highlight, the resonance cascade. This moment to me absolutely sent shockwaves through my body. Never had a game or a movie or music or anything like that raise the hair so high on my neck, leaving me without words, jaw dropped, looking over at my friend to see the same exact reaction on his face. What were we witnessing? Going back and forth between worlds due to some failed portal anomaly. We could hear the heavy breathing coming from Gordon, the main character. But at that moment, it felt like we were doing the very same thing. I could feel my heart racing. All I did was move some crystal-looking specimen into a light beam, and the world was just shattered. Was it my fault? Didn't my scientist peers have concern over something like this happening just moments ago?
I don't know how you can say that.
Where would I go from here? It felt like I just needed to escape this nightmare I had a hand in creating. Now let's pause for just a moment. I do realize how corny this all may sound to people who didn't play this game back in the day. The graphics look simple, cinematic experiences in games now seem like they're a dime a dozen after all the set-piece moments found in Call of Duty and Naughty Dog games. I get it. But for some context, prior to Half-Life, the only time I got goosebumps from a game was when playing the intro to The Seventh Guest for the first time at my friend's house, and that was more due to the music, since at that point, all I heard from a game was 16-bit chiptunes at best. Half-Life was much more impactful than that. But more importantly, I can't think of a time afterwards where I've had a gaming experience similar in effect, genuinely. Going back to that moment, after being frozen for a minute, then putting my hands back on the mouse and keyboard, I kept going through the broken Black Mesa offices until the demo ended. Again, my friend and I will share more at the end of the video about running out to purchase the full game, but there was no question after this point, I was a dedicated PC gamer for years to come. But even beyond that, I realized I wanted to create entertainment in some way, shape, or form that moved people the same way this game moved me. Later in life, I would enjoy a long video production career, and this game is a large part of why I believe media can change people. And even though I chose video as my profession, which many believe to be the culmination of the combined art forms, I have to admit that video games add another layer to the mix: interactivity. Many people have mentioned how Half-Life doesn't put your interaction on hold to force you into watching a cutscene. Everything plays out organically as it should. If you somehow miss that moment or create another different moment, well, that's the story you crafted, and it makes it feel more personal. Nowadays, too many games have lost that crucial gaming element, leaving the player in control. It makes me wonder if another game will come along and blow our collective socks off like Half-Life did. And there's so much more, you guys. So much more I could say about this game, like the punchy and stellar sound effects, especially from the weapons. There's also the music that comes in at just the right moments, during those peaks, accentuating the adrenaline you're already experiencing. But then it tapers off during the valleys, when all you can hear is the distant sounds of jets flying overhead, or creepy alien sounds down the corridor. What Half-Life gets so right that so many other games don't is the psychology behind the gaming experience. It knows when to slam on the gas, but just as importantly, knows when to let off the pedal and give you time to reflect. It's like some experienced puppet master pulling those strings ever so carefully so you never feel ripped out of the experience, and every corner turned is one anticipated with simultaneous dread and excitement. I could go on, but some of you might be wondering if all I can do is sing praises to this title while overlooking its faults. This, I feel, is a perfect time to bring up Black Mesa. As many of you know, Black Mesa started out as a fan project, a remaster/remake/reimagining of the original Half-Life, which aimed to bring not only the graphics up to speed with the exquisite Source engine, but also enhance areas of the original gameplay that haven't aged as gracefully. Now that the game is out of beta and releasing on time, little Portal joke there.
You are kidding me.
Is this the definitive version of Half-Life? Does it fix any flaws that have festered for nearly 3 decades? The answer is yes and no. Let me keep this short and sweet. Also, I captured this footage on my potato computer, so forgive the low frame rate.
Because I'm a potato.
What can I tell you? Times are hard for those without a PhD in theoretical physics. Am I right? Am I right?
You know, you repeat yourself sometimes.
Here's what I think is better in Black Mesa. Obviously, the graphics are superior. No questions there. The remix of the level on a rail is also superior. While I didn't mind this level on my first playthrough of Half-Life, going back after a second or especially a third time, well, it's just okay, to be honest. It outstays its welcome compared to the other brisk and creative moments the game has to offer. Zen is the other topic that divides the fanbase. You either love it or hate it. I loved it in the OG Half-Life. But even having loved the original, I have to admit that the Black Mesa version is so much better. At least 70% of the time. I'll talk about the other 30% in a bit. The little touches in this version of Zen are so extra, but especially the reminder that this biome was being explored prior to the Residence Cascade, and this is the place where Gordon Freeman received that mysterious sample from. It made you further realize this whole mess was not your own creation per se, but an inevitable catastrophe that would occur from science and secret government experiments flying too close to the sun. It also caused the player to look back at earlier events, like discovering aliens being experimented on prior to the Cascade, or even more conspiratorial, seeing the enigmatic G-Man the same day as the Cascade. Was this an orchestrated catalyst by the powers that be, and you were merely a pawn that played their part? I feel like Black Mesa helps flesh out these dark questions even more, while Half-Life may have been a little too ambiguous at times.
You're supposed to take this old rail system up to some kind of satellite delivery rocket.
I also liked how they showed the Vortigons as a peaceful alien race that were being enslaved, something that the first game doesn't convey as clearly. Things were amazing up to that point in Black Mesa, and I almost wanted to say Zen was tipping the scales in favor of Black Mesa being my favorite PC game of all time. Almost. Until I reached the Interloper level. Now, I assumed that since Black Mesa fixed On a Rail so expertly, that they would also fix my least favorite Half-Life level, Interloper.
They fixed it.
It looks similar.
Sadly, yes, as it turns out, things got worse for Interloper. How many cables do I have to reconnect exactly? What is this, IT training? And how many conveyor belts do I need to ride? What is this, the Amazon Fulfillment Center? Okay, jabs aside, this isn't that fun for me. It feels like padding on a game that never needed more. And if it's not fun the first time, it's not going to be fun on several more playthroughs. When people say things like, you'll warm up to it, I always cringe a little and feel that that's a weak justification for flawed design. Let's be real, this level is the wart on Half-Life's legacy, and based on this meme I found, I'm not the only one who thinks so. If you feel differently about Interloper, that's totally fine. I'm glad you like the level. To me, it felt like they took the minor tedium of the original and added more chores to the roster. Fortunately, once you get past that overly long segment, it's back to being an amazing game again with a killer boss remix finale. Oh, I almost forgot. The addition of more physics-based puzzles in Black Mesa was awesome, so kudos to that aspect. One of the game's first physics puzzles, if you can call it that, is giving this poor guy toilet paper.
Oh, thank heavens! I'm in dire need of some toilet paper.
It was a hilarious touch that respectfully plays homage to the original. Okay, having said all of that, here's why I ultimately chose the original Half-Life over Black Mesa, even though it's a close call. And I want to be crystal clear. These are nitpicks, not deal breakers, okay? Let's start with the art direction. You'd think that the darker, moodier atmospheric lighting and fog would make Black Mesa better in terms of drawing the player into its world. If I was a gamer new to this series and played Half-Life and Black Mesa back to back for the first time, I might agree. Black Mesa is more atmospheric in those terms, but there's more going on here psychologically than meets the eye. In the original, the art direction is one of sterile, fluorescent lighting office spaces that feels eerily uneventful, like the back rooms or empty malls, liminal spaces. That's why when the resonance cascade happens, it feels so disruptive. It breaks you out of normalcy and forces you into a new way of thinking about your environment. Even so, the compound is slowly deteriorated in Half-Life. It's a gradual decay as your world and the alien world start overlapping. After the initial shock, it's an almost imperceptible transition, but one that keeps pulling you deeper and deeper down that rabbit hole. In Black Mesa, that transition feels more immediate and permanent, like the whole alien world has come crashing down, and there's no normal left from that point on. The art direction is decidedly darker and moodier. You may like that, but it's also safe to say that you'll be using your flashlight a lot more in Black Mesa than Half-Life. It's hard to describe, but I think the original hit that eerie, disturbing transition feeling more accurately, whether intentional or unintentional. As a quick side note, I love the feeling I got when going topside for the first time after being stuck underground for so long. The outdoor area reminds me of southern Utah, the state I'm currently living in, and I'm just here for it. Also, at one point, I worked in a building that looked like the Lambda Core and even had a retinal scanner for its server room. It's funny how good media makes you see the world a little bit differently. In short, Half-Life 1 nails atmosphere. So that leads me to the music, or lack thereof, in the original. Half-Life, in a way, let you form your own soundtrack in your head. This to me was a risky move that paid off. While other media tells you what to feel by its music, almost in an oppressive sense, Half-Life trusts the gamer. It lets them experiment and craft their own experience, linear level design notwithstanding. It respects you in all of its design and doesn't hold your hand saying, "Look here," or "This is what you're supposed to be feeling now." Not to mention the crisp sound design that was almost its own soundtrack. I also like the soundscape in the original better, with the exception of the Cult Python in Black Mesa. So satisfying. Black Mesa made the slight but heavy mistake of putting in more music, and at times, it made me focus more on the tunes and trying to figure out what the developers wanted me to feel, rather than just letting me be myself in this amazing world. There really is a delicate balance between music and sound effects, and rarely do creatives get it right. Lastly, and I don't know what happened here, but for some reason, I think the AI in the first Half-Life was just better. Like, not just by a margin, but way better. I'm wondering if they had to rewrite some of the code and that disrupted behaviors, even though I was told they didn't touch the code. But way back in 1998, the AI was genre redefining, even if the pathfinding for enemies was kept to a simple run behind Gordon when possible. The soldiers and assassins would flank you, sneak up from behind, divide and conquer. It was groundbreaking stuff. In Black Mesa, I had assassins sometimes just freeze in front of me, like a deer in the headlights. A lot of times the soldiers would just sit down a hallway, spamming gunfire and grenades, and never move. It was odd and off-putting compared to the original, and since Half-Life was defined by a genre-breaking AI, this was a big letdown. Don't get me wrong, Black Mesa doesn't have terrible AI most of the time, especially compared to some titles today that are still stuck with Doom's 1993 intelligence for some reason, but it's not that great either.
Perfect Gordon.
Right back at you, Slick.
I'm wondering if allowing the soldiers to shoot as they run jumbled the code a little, or maybe it had to do with changing some of the layout of the game's maps, adding more detail. I don't know, I'm not a programmer so I couldn't tell you. I'm just relaying my experience with the game, and trust me, I went back and played Half-Life right after Black Mesa to see if my memories were too rose-colored. Besides some very rare jankiness with an alien getting stuck in a shake loop, it was flawless. To some, my AI experience in Black Mesa might seem like a random anomaly with the code, but it kept happening enough to trouble me. I played through the whole game a second time just to make sure. It was odd, if nothing else, and based on some of these YouTube videos, I'm not the only one who experienced this behavior. Either game title you play, the bottom line is you'll have a fantastic experience, so don't take these opinions too harshly. Again, they're nitpicks, so that one game may rise triumphant. If you prefer Black Mesa, I completely understand. It's hard to argue with a newcomer that Half-Life is better, because it's become pretty dated now at this point, and I realize my bias is showing with the original.
You're living in the past.
But the good news is this, as a gamer, why not play both titles and form your own opinion? They are very cheap to purchase nowadays, and you don't have to choose between one or the other. Switching gears a bit, Half-Life also shipped with Worldcraft, and even though I can't really include a level editor as part of the game, it was part of the combined Half-Life experience. My friend Adam and I would make level after level, and there was a true joy that came from creating our first levels in a game. I'll never forget that incredible addition. If you couldn't tell already, I'm not going to review either game's multiplayer, because while it is good gameplay, it's neither game's strong suit. Single player is where it's at with these titles. Now at this point, some of you may be wondering, this is all well and fine, but what about Half-Life 2? Isn't that superior to the first title? To that, I'd also say yes and no. While Half-Life 2's gameplay is superior in most respects, going back to my criteria, it didn't have the same impact as the first game. And at least to me, it doesn't have the same nostalgia building heights as the first game. Probably because Half-Life 2 moves around City 17, then out to the country, then there's Ravenholm, then on to the sci-fi inspired final chapters in the Citadel. What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't have the same cohesive theme as the first game's Black Mesa compound and Zin, which to me, Zin felt like a natural progression of discovering why Black Mesa was conducting these experiments in the first place. Half-Life 2, on the other hand, gave me the impression that Gordon Freeman was just running from place to place, trying to survive against the Combine and help the Resistance along the way. That may be oversimplifying the stellar gameplay experience of Half-Life 2, but that's the impression it gave me. If you prefer the second over the first, I won't argue. It's an amazing title, and the gravity gun alone is just chef's kiss. So there you have it, friends, my pick for the best PC game of all time, and maybe even the best game of all time regardless of format. How about you? What is your favorite? Let me know in the comments, and with that, here is my friend and I talking about our favorite memories with this stellar game.
That's straight off the shelf, bro.
That's so clean.
This is when it came out. I stopped by Media Play on my way to your house in South Ogden.
Yeah, I told you, I was like, hey, this got a 97%, and you're like, yeah, I got it. And I was like, what? You already bought it? Would you still say this is your favorite game of all time?
Oh yeah, dude. Like, disc, perfect condition. This, I don't even know if it's even been opened up.
Dang, dude.
Did I even have the little Sierra insert?
King's Quest.
They like advertised other games that were coming out at the time.
What's in this one?
That's just the game manual. Well, back when they used to do manuals.
Oh yeah, it's got artwork and stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Going through it backwards, but still, that's cool.
Yeah, dude, this is... I mean, I don't know, just back when they took care. Look at that gaming setup, bro.
Oh, dude, the beige box towers.
Yeah, that are nostalgic now.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, look at these system requirements, dude. Can you handle it? 2x CD-ROM. Remember when there was 1x CD-ROM?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, you got a 2x CD-ROM or a 4x?
It's pre-DVD days.
And you have the add-ons too. So we got Doom, Opposing Force. I remember that one.
Yeah, unfortunately in less good condition, but...
You still have the box though. That's more than I can say.
I also got, I found out,
Is that Blue Shift?
Yeah, I didn't realize this was an add-on that was specifically made for Dreamcast.
Huh.
That was ported over to PC after Dreamcast failed. But it was made specifically to port, or to get fans who were not part of the PC scene into Half-Life.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to see a lot of the original places, just different perspectives. Playing as Barney.
I know it looks really silly now, but back then it was like cutting edge. Super fun.
You know what's crazy about Zen? They almost cut it from the game completely.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think was a mistake. A lot of people didn't like Zen, but I loved it.
I loved Zen too, but they almost cut it from the game completely because they said it took away from the whole government military aspect of it. But Zen was such a good addition to the game.
Sweet. Well, I'll close out the video. I just wanted to see this.
That was some seriously good nostalgia. But remember, friends, it's also important to make new memories with your loved ones.
Do, 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 do.